Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rosie and I'm a British girl living in Florida. And I really want to apologize because it's been a hot minute since I did a video for you guys. I apologize. I started working 6 months ago. My time has been crazy limited, so I really apologize. I'm excited to be back on YouTube doing videos for you guys. My NCLEX video, which I did and I shared my free study guide, blew up. Everyone loved it. I'm so glad that you loved that video. So let's get going. After being in Florida for over 4 years, I get asked this question so much, and that is, where is best to live financially? Is it better in England? Is it better in Florida? Where do I make more? Where do I get taxed more? Or just where is better financially to live? And that is what today's video is going to be about. I want to get into all the details, taxes, health insurance, home cost, home insurance, car insurance, just everything. Where is more expensive? Where is cheaper? Where would I prefer to live? It was purely based financially. So that is what I want to get into in today's video, so stay tuned. So I want to mention that when I lived in England, I was working as a nurse and I lived in the West Midlands, so a pretty average place to live in terms of cost of living and how much I earned. Obviously, if I lived in London, I would have paid more in taxes and the cost of living is higher and the wages for nursing is more based on the cost of living, etc. And then here in America, we are living in Florida, which I've heard is the lowest pay for nurses in the whole of the US. I'm not sure if that is accurate, but that is what I've heard. The cost of living is obviously lower here in Florida. So that is just something to remember when I'm talking about income and expenses and things like that, because if we were living in California, where my husband is from, I'm sure it would be a totally different video. This is just my personal experience. This is currently what we're paying. I will talk about the little details when I'm comparing things. And also we live in Central Florida, so I just wanted to drop that in there as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is income. When I lived in England, which was over 4 years ago, I worked as a nurse, and I'm still working as a nurse here in America, so I'm doing the exact same job. Now, I'm not going to disclose my exact income that I'm making right now. That feels a little bit too personal. But what I was earning in England is out there for the world to see, because everybody earns the same in England as a nurse. You don't really get to negotiate as just a regular band 5 registered nurse, which is what I was working at. What happens in England is you all start on the same level, and as you are in the same job, you work up the levels, and that is on the NHS website. I'm not sure what the starting figures are today, but when I first started, and I actually have one of my old pay stubs here with me, I started at around £23,000, which if I converted it to dollars, it would probably be between $28,000 and probably $32,000. If I get this exact figure, I will drop it here. Now, comparing what I earned in England as a nurse to out here, I make nearly quadruple that, which is crazy. Tax-wise, so this is something that everyone asks me, doctors, patients, friends, is taxes. So currently in England, my friend said that we're on the same sort of thing as America, that in England, the more you make, the more you get taxed, which is currently the same here. I'm currently getting taxed 12%, and I believe I was getting taxed the same in England, which people seem to always think that they're always like, oh, you pay more tax in England, don't you? And I'm like, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I get taxed 12% also in England. And when I look on my payslip at what I paid in tax in pounds, it's very similar to what I pay in tax in dollars out here. So it's literally the same, if not give or take a couple of percentages, but it is not a whole lot more. What I taxed in England compared to out here is very, very similar. So in relation to healthcare costs, I could talk about this for hours. I'm not going to get into the details of actual healthcare costs because, like I said, I could talk about this for hours, but what I paid in healthcare costs, so for those of you who don't know, I'm sure everyone knows this, is in England healthcare is pretty much free. You can walk into ER, you can walk into your PCP, your primary care doctor, you can go and get surgery and it will be 100% paid for, no co-pays, no deductibles. You do not have to pay insurance every single month. But if you earn over, I believe, £12,000 a year, you pay national insurance. And national insurance is, I think, 8% of your salary. So I would pay between £100 and £200 a month in national insurance. This is your contribution towards the socialized medicine. Out here, I pay way more than that in my employees' healthcare coverage, my health insurance. I currently pay over $600 a month in health insurance, and considering that that's what I pay, I would then still have to pay a copay, a co-insurance, a deductible, all of that stuff if me and my husband or our son needed to seek healthcare. So yes, healthcare is definitely more expensive. It's more of a bigger cost out of your financial situation here in America compared to England. Okay, so moving on to house costs. So the price of our house that we currently live in, the home is currently worth the exact same amount that I had purchased a house for in England. They're literally the exact same cost. In terms of the mortgage, they're actually very similar in price. I can't even remember what the percentage of interest was in England, but the price of the home is the same. So in comparison to things, I just wanted to drop that in there, that like the price of the house is not hugely different. They are extremely similar in costs. What I do want to mention is something that shocked me when I moved here, is something that we don't have in England, and that is property tax. We do not pay an annual property tax like everyone does out here. So we literally, when we get our mortgage statement, it is just the mortgage and obviously your interest. Out here you have your mortgage, you have your interest, you have the property tax if you don't pay it at the end of the year. So for instance, our property tax, if we paid it up front in one lump sum, it would be around $2,700 a year. If you add it to your mortgage, it's around $3,300. So it's obviously better to pay it in full, and then on top of that you have your home insurance. Property tax is a completely new thing. We do not pay that in England. We pay what is called stamp duty when you buy the home, which is the tax, but you do not pay an annual tax like we do, which stamp duty and the annual tax that we pay is completely different in amount. We pay way more in tax out here in Florida for the home than we did in England, which was a huge shock. Now, home insurance out here, I actually managed to make it a little bit cheaper this year. We currently, for our home this year, paid $1,000. Now in England, I remember the home insurance was £30, so probably $45 a month. So home insurance is definitely more expensive. It is double what I paid in England for the same size home. Now, what I do want to mention is I do understand why home insurance is more out here, because we have extreme weather out here. We do not have the extreme weather in England that we do have out here. We don't have hurricanes in England. We don't have insane storms that blow off roofs. We don't have tornadoes. We don't have any of the crazy weather that we get out here in Florida than we do in England. So I do understand why home insurance is more expensive. So next topic on the agenda is car insurance. So I actually think car insurance is pretty equal out here. So I would say they're about the same for what I paid for my Audi in England, which was the car I drove. It was actually, when I convert what I paid around £450 a year for my full comprehensive insurance on my Audi, and convert that to dollars, probably around like $550, $600. That's probably around what we pay per vehicle, if not a little bit less. Yeah, so we pay around $2,000 a year in car insurance, but we do have 3 cars, we have a motorcycle, so we do have more vehicles and we do have more coverage out here. So I just wanted to mention that. It's probably about the same. In terms of the cost of food, I always struggle with this one because when I look at the cost of like fruit and stuff when I'm in the store, I'm like, wow, that's really cheap. You would pay way more than that in England. But then when I go to England, it's actually pretty, it looks cheap. So I always struggle with the cost of food. I do feel like food is a little bit cheaper out here than it is, which is probably what you would expect because we're a small tiny island and we're not a hot country. We can't just grow fruit as freely as you can in America. But I don't think food in England is crazy expensive compared to America, because in some times of year and some stores, you know, fruit and vegetables go really expensive, and it's the same in England. Depending on the time of year, you're going to pay more, and that's just the way it is. So food, I never know where is more expensive, but I would think that America is slightly less expensive. But it's weird because out here we spend a month way more money than what I did in England on food. What we would spend on food in England would probably be like 50 to 100 pounds a week, which is probably like, let's just say $125 a week. So probably around like $400-500 a month in what I would spend in England. Out here we spend like $600-700 a month. So we seem to spend more money on food out here, even though the food is cheaper. And I think that's just because of how much food is available. And you've got all the goodies out here and everything's just so tempting, and it's definitely a lot more easier to buy food and to spend more on food out here, that's for sure. One thing for sure that is more expensive in England than America, that is the price of gas. In terms of gas prices, what me and my family worked out was that what we would pay in England for a litre of gas would be around $7 for a litre of regular like unleaded fuel. So that would be the conversion. We pay like $1 or $2 per litre out here. In England, it's around $7. That's what the equivalent would be. It's crazy expensive in England. I remember to fill up my Audi, a full tank of gas would cost around £80-90, which is like $130, which is crazy to think that we pay like $40 out here for a full tank of gas. That's crazy. So overall, the answer would be that I make more money here in Florida, and even though there are bigger costs that I have to pay out, for instance, you know, health insurance, that is probably more than 10 times as much as what I would pay in England. And like I said, property tax, that is non-existent in England. So even though I have bigger outgoings and I have more deducted once I've been paid, I still take home more money here in Florida. So that is the answer to that question. I am better off financially here in Florida than I was in England. If you have any questions regarding this video, anything I didn't mention, anything you're curious about, please drop it in the comment section below. I always reply and love seeing your comments. I love having conversations with you guys in the comments. So please, if you have any questions, drop them below. That is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. See you again soon.